Welcome to Sunday Media.
We're reporting on the most interesting headlines.
It's the news you need and the entertainment you want every Sunday.
Hit that subscribe button and let's spend Sunday together.
All right, ready?
I'm ready.
Welcome to Sunday Media.
Welcome. I'm Kylie.
And I'm Shauna. And this is episode 3.
We're excited to have you with us, our listeners, our friends.
Our friends.
Yes.
Welcome. Hopefully you've been tuning in every week now and enjoying your Sunday so far. We really planned this whole podcast around obviously giving you entertaining news. Of course, we've got 5 amazing headlines to talk about today. And we have our first call-in guest.
Yes, very exciting.
Very exciting. And a really good question that somebody wrote in about that they're going to be answering. But we really wanted this podcast to pair perfectly with a Sunday reset routine. So if you're not already streaming us on YouTube, what are you doing with your life? Stream us, watch us. You can also listen to us, though.
Yeah.
You're just not going to see all the amazing visuals that we've got going on here. And you're not going to see our beautiful studio and our cheersing and all of the fun things. So, yeah, hopefully you're changing your sheets. And that's what I think of with Sunday routine. But just resetting for the week ahead and feeling good and starting to feel calm. So, welcome. Why don't you start us off today?
I will. So I'm excited about this article. Very excited.
Okay. What do you got?
You know, I'm a big fan of AI and tech and innovation.
Yeah.
I found this very interesting. So it says the article title is 6G will make smartphones obsolete within 10 years, analysts predict.
Whoa.
Yes.
Smartphones?
Smartphones.
Okay.
Like screens and just the devices that we're on right now. It says, so as the world enters the age of 6G, where connectivity is more consistent and powerful, smartphones will become obsolete as the human body will be more of the interface and it will be more prevalent in our everyday lives. So wearables, yeah.
It kind of sounds like, what's that show on Netflix?
Which one?
The very futuristic show. Oh my gosh, the audience is screaming at me, telling me the name. Oh my gosh, wait.
I don't know it.
Miley Cyrus was on it?
Black Mirror.
Black Mirror. That reminds me of Black Mirror.
Black Mirror. Yes. I can't watch every one of those episodes because some are scary.
Some are scary. I've definitely been selective on which episodes I watch. Okay, so tell me more.
It's very true. Yeah, those are some are more realistic, but just thinking outside of the box. But it says the smartphone might be going away by 2030, apparently. It says experts say that by that time, smartphones may no longer be an issue. There's been a decline in the average use of it. And how is it going to evolve? Is it going to be
holograms? Built-ins? There was a Black Mirror episode. There was a Black Mirror episode where they could, all of their memories were stored in, I don't know, was it a contact or something in their eyes? And they could replay moments. And
well, I'm sorry, I'm reporting
to think about. We are
Black
reporting
Mirror.
live.
But it says like augmented reality will become a really big thing in the new generation of connectivity. So devices that will enable that are smartwatches and tech glasses. So like you said with the contacts, it might be very interesting as wearables versus a phone that you'll be on, which I hope will make us more connected to other people.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, hopefully it's more connected, but also, I mean, I think we talk a lot about this, whether on air or off air, but you know, we almost want to detach a little bit from our phones because everything is on social media now, or we're constantly on the phone or texting people. So, I mean, maybe it's a way to detach from the social media, but, or is it actually making it worse? Like, is that what we're worried about?
It could be a concern because you're always going to be on, which I feel like I am sometimes with my Apple Watch. But
well, if you don't mind, I mean, that kind of perfectly goes into what I wanted to talk about next. The headline that I have, which is the joy of do not disturb.
Ooh.
I know. Well, this is near and dear to my heart personally, because I almost live my entire day on do not disturb. Although I have to say, maybe probably since we started really thinking about the podcast, if I'm being 100% honest, because we're coming out of the winter time, maybe not at the beginning, but I used to keep my phone on do not disturb 100% of the time. And I would just allow a couple people to come through, just on the priority list. And that was mostly because I didn't expect to not respond to people. I just knew that anybody else outside of these couple people were not urgent. So I might still be on my phone. I just don't want to be alerted 500 times a day.
Great.
And the older I get, the less alerts I get. I feel like, thank God. I used to be way more social and just like messaging all day long with friends and family and whatever. Now that's definitely not my preference, but yeah, I spend enough time on apps or reading or doing things on my phone that I'm on it anyway, but I don't want to be alerted all the time where I feel like I'm constantly pressured to respond. Now, something that you and I are working on, or my husband, or like a couple specific people, yeah, sure, I want to make sure that I'm being notified and I can respond, because that's different. So this article, it's living life on do not disturb, basically, but I know you do this
and
too,
it's
so
promoting it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to ask you in just a second, but basically somebody wrote in this article, and the reason I had saved this is because it says what started as a harmless desire to relax now has you mere moments away from making your third online purchase from a sponsored ad. And that's kind of true, because if you're on any social media platform, or if you're just on any website now, there are obviously ads, and like how many times you get marketed for clothing or
all
things.
The
The time, products that we want. But it says several months ago, I was in a place where opening my phone and spending more time than I'd like to admit on social media and other apps on my phone. And that became second nature. Though I spent weekends exploring new cities, I saw my favorite bands, she says, having great times with my friends and everything. I would meet up with people after work. I was still in a constant state of anxiety. The need to always be on, available, and consuming information left me in a perpetual state of alert. I felt that I had to be constantly available for friends and family and work, which I think is a big one. That if I ever took a break, well, I was pretty sure that wasn't ever going to happen. And she just says, I decided that it was time for a change, knowing that there was a pretty simple way to usher it in. It had been waiting in the background on my settings screen all along, and that was Apple's Do Not Disturb. So before I even continue, I think I know that you do this. Do you just have Do Not Disturb on 100% of the time on your phone?
No.
Okay, so what do? Do you have a schedule?
No. But I know there are so many great resources on our phones now that can put it into a schedule. Like
I keep schedule.
Yeah, technology has made it so much harder but easier for us to step away. I feel like from our phones. But no, I will keep it on if I'm working out. I know you don't work out with your phone.
I just put mine in a locker because I do a majority of my workouts either early in the morning where nobody is disturbing me anyway when I would have my phone nearby. They're not messaging me. Not when I'm doing those, because it's just too early. So that works out perfect. But when I'm at the gym, I intentionally do not bring my phone in, and I keep it in a locker with my shoes and everything else that I bring, because I just don't want to be alerted and feel like if I see it light up, if I feel like I have a message now, and this is basically a tangent, but I feel like this is kind of important to share. When I'm working out, your blood's flowing, your brain, like, I get so many ideas. So whenever we have a call and we're brainstorming stuff, or if I'm working on something, when I was planning the wedding, like that was really when this started, or when I actually took notice of it, I would just get all these ideas, and I wanted to have my phone in with me because you're working out, you're active. It's like that perpetuates this like brain activity. All of my best ideas basically, or I'll remember things that just, I was working on during the day or something. And then I'll think, okay, I want to follow up on that, or this is something I want to do, or a to-do list. And I like that. I mean, it keeps me organized, but I'm doing a workout. So like, I can't just stop the whole workout I'd be on my phone. I don't want to be distracted. So I started bringing in this really tiny little notepad and a pen.
Cute.
I don't do it every time, but if I'm working on something, I feel like my mind is just going.
No music? Like,
well, no, I'm in a class, so there's music
okay,
going and everything. But instead of having my phone, because I do want to detach from all the other alerts, but if I have ideas or things that I want to write down or stuff I need to remember, because it all just comes to me when I'm doing that, when I'm being active, I write it down there. But I keep a schedule on my phone. It's like 9 or 10 p.m. until like 9 or 10 a.m. I just don't need to be alerted for all of that. Not that I'm not checking it or I'm not on my phone, but I don't want to be alerted. I don't want to be woken up for that.
I know. I'm actually, just to go into that too, I don't know how many people use that when they're sleeping. I know my family was obsessed with do not disturb, and like
well, I don't think either of us were allowed to have our phones when we were younger and still living, like before we went to college. I don't think either of us were allowed to sleep with our phones in our rooms.
And I appreciate that now.
I appreciate it now. Yeah. At least when I first got my phone, those first couple years. That was so annoying at the time, but I don't think they even had those modes of do not disturb. And we were probably talking to each other all day. So that was really the only way to kind of separate that. Yeah. Well, so she says, since I had been staying up way past my desired bedtime, responding to texts and checking my Instagram feed, I first focused on my do not disturb settings for sleep. And she talks about a couple of other things that she's used, like specific apps and stuff. But basically her whole idea after putting all of those in place, like I like the schedule for the do not disturb, the do not disturb stuff, but I've also used the work one. So when I hit the location, the address of my work, then everybody else will be muted.
Nice.
Because I would be at my desk and I would be working, and then it's like text message. And again, there's plenty of times where I'm opening up my phone and I'm responding, but I just couldn't be alerted all day long because it was stopping me so frequently. And I read this great book called Get Smart by Brian Tracy. Oh, loved that book. But it specifically talks about being interrupted and how it takes you something like 17 minutes to get back on track when you're derailed with something like, well, just a conversation or social media or just texting and stuff. So it's super important to just kind of stay on task and then do that and be done before going on to the next thing. So holding one focus. So I've also used that for a really long time.
That's huge.
She said, allowing mindfulness into my life was in the area of social media use has allowed me to lead a more mindful life in general.
It's true. I have to say, I have my do not disturb on, but I have my emergency contacts. And I swear every time I'm meditating, someone will call, but they're on my emergency contacts, so they'll come through. But for me, this is how I am, but it's like I've trained myself now to be more mindful in that moment because I'm mad because someone's calling me and they're disrupting that and disturbing that. But at the same time, it's given me an opportunity to step back and be more mindful. Why am I mad that someone's calling me during that time?
Well, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But are you using your phone for
meditation from an app? Yeah.
Okay. See, that's tough.
No. So now I have turned off like my emergency contacts during that time. This is like,
well, yeah. I mean, you could just use one of the other settings, whether it's work mode or something else that doesn't have anybody on it. Just you turn that on when you meditate or when you're working out or whatever. That way nobody else comes through. And God forbid it is an emergency. I mean, the settings won't allow that. The calls are going to come through, but they must really need you at that point. I love that. Yeah. I think it's good to be mindful. There's so many amazing things about all the technology on my phone. Like I'm using it constantly. But I think I've, in the last maybe 2 to 3 years, been super mindful about that and just kind of got burnt out. Yes. So unless it's something I'm actively working on, there are definitely points in the day where I just feel like I can't be that social and I want it to be separated. I don't want to be alerted all the time. And when I'm ready to have a conversation and just be chatty, especially when I have a really busy day and I need to unwind, that's not the time when I'm starting another conversation. I need to just be a nice shower and starting to relax and dimming the lights in the house and going into a night routine.
Do you have notifications Because I feel like the older I've gotten, the less notifications that I would like on my phone, and I'll turn them off per app. Like Instagram.
Yes.
I cannot, there's too much. And I get that some people need to have that for the work or the job. They might need to be informed and notified, but I mean,
no, most of mine are off.
Yeah.
I don't have many notifications on. I don't have my text messages show up on my front page. It just says that I have a message, but I don't have any for emails because I'm on it enough.
Yeah.
It shows like maybe I got 5 emails. There'll be a little 5. I know I got an email and then I can check it. So I'm on it enough. I'm somebody who keeps up to date with them, and I'll delete, as I go. But yeah, no, I'm not getting alerted for 100 things. And you're a special app or a special person if you're getting if I'm getting the alerts from you.
It's true.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know about you, but I thought that was pretty awesome.
I love that.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have some breaking news that just came in and I need to share. Okay, you ready for this?
Ready.
The birth order theory is psychologically backed. Okay, you know the birth order theory.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, it kind of links to your relationships, and it talks about how if you're the oldest child, basically, does that pair best with another oldest child? Are you usually paired with the youngest child, middle children together? But they're saying that it's actually, there's some psychology behind it, and it's actually psychologically backed.
Interesting.
And therapists are talking about it in this article that I found. So it says, despite our 4-year age gap, my younger brother and I are besties. And while some of my fellow firstborn friends find it odd, my brother and I openly talk about our dating lives. We tap each other for advice and certainly are not afraid to roast each other on our dating profiles. And it says, but one factor that neither of us considered impacting our love lives is our birth order. And I think they've talked about, like, people have talked about this on social media and stuff, but it's basically saying that if you're the firstborn, you're more likely and a better fitting to be with a youngest child. Or just, if you're both middle children, that wouldn't go together. And maybe if you're a first child, it didn't say about a first child being with a middle. But that could be interesting. I think this more applies when there's 3 children or more.
Okay.
If you're one of 2, you're just an older or younger. I don't know if that makes as much of a difference. I think more so for the older child, but I don't feel like you have younger child syndrome. I don't know. I take it back as I'm saying it because maybe you do. But you and your boyfriend are both middle children. Is he one of 3? And so are you.
Yeah.
But I'm the oldest, and my husband is one of 4, but he's the 3rd. So he's on the younger side. Yeah. But I actually felt like this makes a lot of sense because firstborn children they're just a little bit more independent and feel like they have to kind of pave the way. They're very organized usually. And I think there's just a little bit different mentality because you just don't have these older siblings. And then the younger children, I think a lot more of the time, they're just kind of along for the ride with it when they're young, right? And then they could be just like babied a little bit more. Okay, so as we become adults, then you just have these different personalities. And not that they're not as smart or, you could both be in the same place in life, obviously, but I think that there's actually something to this where if you're a firstborn child or your partner is, then most likely you're the opposite. You're with the younger sibling.
Interesting.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Because you're actually middle and so is your boyfriend. Do you feel like that ever plays into your relationship?
I believe in birth order and the way that my brothers and I are, and oldest, middle is, I feel like, the mediator, and youngest is fun, carefree. Yeah. But oldest is more controlling in a good way and more of a leader.
Definitely more of a leader. I think it's that.
Yeah.
Because they're not successful. I think no matter what your birth order is, you could be super successful.
Correct.
But you just have different personality types. I think is where it comes in.
And you're the firstborn.
Yeah, but you can't have two type A controlling leaders together. I think that's where it comes from, because somebody has to take the lead and somebody has to be kind of go with the flow, or you both have to be flexible enough to kind of like ebb and flow. So you're the leader on some things and they're the leader on others. So if you don't have that personality, but I think that's why certain birth orders are more attracted to the opposite, because that brings that balance in the relationship.
I do agree. Yeah, like balance. I'm trying to.
Yeah. But do you feel like you're a middle child? Like, have you ever had middle child syndrome?
My life.
Really? Really?
I'm the middle child.
I know, but I've never pictured you.
What about you?
No, I'm totally the oldest.
Do you feel
like we're both the only girls. So I think that has its own thing too.
Yeah. I feel like so much of it is just compatibility and compromise.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But the fact that the article was saying that there is some psychology behind why a lot of these pairings are more successful or more likely to happen versus like two younger children being together, like two of the youngest being a romantic couple.
But why not?
I don't know. My brother is married and they're both younger. So
you'd think they'd have like a common ground.
And maybe they do, but just in other things.
It's interesting.
I know.
It's good balance, though. I do think there is a balance.
Maybe we're debunking the whole thing, but I think there's some to it. Like, I think the oldest with the youngest makes more sense. And my parents are both middle children. So I almost feel like maybe more middle children are drawn to other middle children because they understand the middle child syndrome. Yeah. They're both maybe more flexible in life because they weren't the oldest and that makes them more flexible. And so maybe that's where the ebb and flow comes in the relationship versus an older with a younger.
Yes. I think that's where I struggle with this theory, is because I feel like I've bonded over that middle child syndrome.
Yeah, and the article was actually saying middle child and middle child would be one of those pairings that's less common to happen. And I think that's actually false. Right. I think the other part, I think there's something to that. But yeah, what you said, so you're almost bonding over that. I hear you, see you, recognize you, respect you, that type of respect for the other person. Because you've obviously felt that for yourself as just the middle child.
Yeah, brothers or sisters.
Dramatic or not dramatic. Like maybe you're not even thinking about that, but it's still just that mentality based on your birth order.
Yes.
Yeah. Ah, interesting. Very good. Okay, well, we have to cut this short because we actually have our first guest calling in to answer the honest opinions. Somebody has written in with a really great discussion question, basically, and we have none other than your oldest brother calling in from Paris. So thank you so much for him for being here, but he's going to be calling in any moment. So let's get ready for him. I'm excited. Hello.
Good afternoon. How are you?
We are good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Nice to see you both.
Nice to see you.
So we have a very exciting special guest today. This is John. He's my brother. He is in Paris calling in. So we are very excited to have him as our guest of honest opinions today.
Amazing. Welcome to the show.
No pressure.
Thank you very much. And if there are a couple of motorcycle sounds going by, I'm sitting in my car and there's some mopeds and things going on at the moment, but all good. Glad to be here.
Love it. So we had a listener write in, and so question, it says, "Dear Honest Opinions, I'm in my early 40s and feeling unfulfilled in my current career. I'm considering a major career change, but I'm worried about starting over at this stage in my life. Is it too late to pursue a new path, and what steps should I take to ensure a smooth transition? Best, career changer."
Well, just to clarify things up front, I'm not in my early 40s yet, so I can't speak directly from the early 40s perspective, you can call it. But I think being in my early 30s, I would sure hope that there's lots of opportunities to, say, restart a career. And I'm curious what your perspectives are on it. I mean, just again, for me, from my perspective, I expect that to happen at some point. And I was doing a bit of reading on the topic, and over the years, I've heard different stories. And I think like the average age of a founder of a startup or a company is like 45 or something like that. So I hope that there's lots of opportunity in the future.
Yeah, no, I agree. And wasn't it something like Oprah was in her early 50s when she started her show? I mean, so many people. I don't think that there's any reason that you can't start something new career-wise just because you started to get into something when you were, early 20s. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at a couple of people as well, and Oprah popped up, but one of the ones that was more surprising to me that I never had even thought of before was Martha Stewart, actually.
Yeah.
And she was apparently like working in finance, a stockbroker into her 30s and I guess mid 30s, and then she transitioned to the, I guess you would call it a home lifestyle segment.
Yes.
And I thought that was a really neat kind of adjustment at that point in life. So again, mid 30s, but I think the same holds true for 40s and 50s and so on.
What do you think about people who feel like their education and obviously their experience up until that point is mostly focused in one thing? So if it was in finance, but now they want to do something even more creative and they want to learn about that, but they, again, don't have the experience maybe. They want to apply for a new job and their experience on their resume is something totally different. How do you think that they should overcome that? I think a lot of people would want to do something either more creative or something totally different. How would you even suggest that they pivot? I think that's what they would probably ask next.
It can definitely be daunting. And to me, two main things pop into my mind. The first being, if you have the drive and the desire to do something like that, oftentimes you will find a way to make it happen. And the second thing being, I think we live in a time where there are more resources than ever before. I mean, I am by no means a mechanic, but I've spent, at this point, probably hundreds of hours watching videos on YouTube on how to fix boats because of consistent boat challenges, let's call it that. But I mean, I think if you want to become an expert, so as an example, and maybe I can give, a personal example, having thought about it for a little while. When I was younger, I wanted to be a car designer. And I was pursuing that for a while, and things went in a different direction, and went a way that ended up being fantastic. So I'm extremely grateful for that, and ended up doing pretty much exactly what I wanted to do by a different channel. But if I did want to go back and do car design, I there are ways that you can find your way into an area that you're passionate about if it's maybe not even the most direct way. So at my former company, I worked in automotive, and I'm not a designer by trade, but I was working in product management, and I ended up working a lot with design, and I really enjoyed that area of the business. And I know that having made a network of design coworkers and now friends, if I do want to pursue design at some point in the future, and I'm not ruling it out, certainly not at this point, I could have a really great network support me through that process. So I think that, again, we live in a time where there's so much access to so much great material and so much support for people who are willing to take risks and do things like that. So to me, it's really exciting.
I like it. The opportunity still exists.
It makes me think too, just us getting into the podcasting space and doing so much research on how to make sure that we've got all the best technology and we're thinking through everything. The amount of free resources that I found online, not only people's master classes, but Coursera, other online resources that have either free or pretty inexpensive classes. So I think, if you don't already have the personal experience, like you were just saying, John, there's probably a lot of ways that you could either get certifications or some sort of experience that if you were going to interview for something, you actually have something to talk about where you can reference to, you can show your passion for it. Maybe if you were coming from finance and it's something totally different, you can also show that you're credible, you're intelligent, that you're willing to put in the work. Now you have something to leverage, you have something to talk about. They can tell you're an intelligent person who's willing to, figure things out as you go. And I feel like that would take you a long way too.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I think too, a lot of people who see somebody maybe without the exact experience, and again, this is from my personal experience, that I'm sure in large part was privileged based on my situation. But a lot of people will give you the opportunity if you express interest, and a lot of times expressing the interest is what people struggle most with. So it's having the courage and having the just the courage and the ability to speak up and speak your mind, and having support from friends, family, your professional network, whoever it might be. But in my experience, people have been really supportive if you speak up and say, hey, I want to take on something that's totally different than what I've done in the past. Oftentimes it's met with open arms, and they'll give you a shot.
I like that. Have the courage.
Wow. Well, thank you, John. I think we've given our honest opinion, right or inner, a lot to think about, and hopefully some confidence to figure out a new path in their career, or just try new things for a little bit and figure out what they want to do next. Maybe it's not the first thing that they decide they want to pursue. But if they take a little bit of time, who knows where they'll be. Honest opinion, right or inner, please let us know how this goes. Maybe in another couple months or a year, right back in and tell us how the advice has hopefully helped you. Well, thanks, John, for joining us today as our guest. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me. Thanks.
Thank you, John.
Talk to you both soon.
Bye.
Au revoir.
Yes, it is.
You're excited?
So excited. What do you got for me?
The 5 best mental health books to cope with whatever life throws at you.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, give me them.
Okay, so the first one, I'm not sure if you've read any of these. I know you're here.
Yes.
Number 1's The Power of Now, a guide to spiritual life.
Read it. Yes.
Not, but I'm looking forward to
It's a little bit slow, but it has a really, really good, there's really good points in it. Absolutely. Okay, what's number 2?
Number 2 is Boundaries.
Okay.
Yeah. When to say yes and how to say no, taking control of your life.
Oh gosh, for the people pleaser.
Yes. Number 3, Burnout, the secret to unlocking the stress cycle.
Uh-huh. No, I haven't read that one. I'm going to add that to my list. No, that's good.
Number 4, Living Untethered.
Oh, I read that.
The human commitment. Okay, what was this about? There's a horse on the cover.
Yes. I don't remember. I'm going to have to read that one again. Okay, what was number 5?
Number 5 is A New Earth, Awakening Your Life Purpose, which is exciting. Emotional well-being.
Yes, by Eckhart Tolle. No, but I've heard about this one, and I'm going to add that one to my list too. Okay, so 5 books that we should be reading in 2024 for our mental health. Okay. Wonderful. Thanks so much. They're on my list.
And this has been our mini mic moment.
This has been the mini mic moment. Watch us on YouTube if you'd like to see our mini mics.
Yes, we'll show you the books.
Perfect. Okay, well, I think that's the end of our episode. How do you feel?
I feel good.
Me too. I loved having a guest on, and everything was just like mental health positive today. Yeah. I always enjoy these conversations with you.
Me too.
Thanks everybody for listening.
Thank you for listening.
For tuning in.
Us. Yes.
For watching on YouTube. Check us out if you're not watching already.
Enjoy your Sunday. Have a great week.
Yes. Follow us on Instagram at The Sunday Media, and subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars,
Become
please.
our friend. Continue watching, please.
Yes. We want to be like your best friends in your room while you're having your Sunday
Changing your
reset.
sheets.
You know the drill. Sunday Media every Sunday. We have a new episode next week. I'm already excited for that.
Please join us.
Another guest is coming.
Yes, very exciting.
Okay.
Good articles.
Very good articles. Enjoy your Sunday.
Join us next week.
Bye.
Cheers.